One big change we made for Remnant 2 was that we randomized the storyline. So if you go in and you fight a mini-boss, and another player goes in and fight a mini-boss in an area, they might have a completely different boss. You might have different events, there's different like random events that occur in the game, and even the layouts of the dungeons change and everything changed. You played Remnant 1, and you both start the game, you're both gonna go into the city, you're gonna like find a big tower and save a lady in a church. Those beats were always the same, even if the mini-bosses and the side dungeons switched out. But in this game, even that's randomized. When you go to a new area of the game, you'll get a random storyline. So even if you're in the same world, for instance, because there's multiple worlds in Remnant, you might get a different storyline. And they are pre-designed storylines. We designed them, we scripted them out. You know, we have the high-level beats and that stuff, but there's multiple per world. So not only could you get a different world from another player, you might get a different storyline within that world. And it is a full storyline with its own NPCs, its own world boss, everything's all completely different. Let's say by chance you got the same storyline, and by chance you got the same mini-bosses, which is highly unlikely. Even within those dungeons, the tiles you get and the events that occur are going to be different. So the number of permutations pretty much ensures that two people playing the same area are going to get a different experience.
But that's over.
The way the world's generated is it starts at the high level. So the first thing it'll do when you go into a new area is determine, hey, what high-level storyline are you going to play? And then within that storyline, there might be multiple dungeons. Say it has a certain number of side dungeons or a certain amount of mini-boss dungeons. And within those dungeons, all the tiles themselves, which is how the maps are built, are randomized. Within a world, there's multiple different biomes. So you'll get different dungeon types, you'll get different overworld types, and they all have their own different types of creatures. So if you get mini-boss A, you might fight these types of enemies within this environment, like floating islands or whatever. And if you get mini-boss B, you might fight a different type of enemies inside of a crypt. So there's a lot of variety in the experience. You know, even again, if you play through one area and you play through that same area again, you're gonna see different enemies, different environments. The main reason we wanted to do procedural generation because we didn't want people to experience the same thing twice. I have an anecdote where like, I can't play a game more than once for some reason. If I've done something, I can't do it again. The huge incentive here was like, hey, I want to make a game that I would actually play through more than once. That's our dream, is you're either talking to each other while you're playing, or you come back to work, or you're watching a stream and you're like, wait, that's not what I did, or like, where are you stuck? Oh, I got stuck on this boss. He's this guy with big horns and he does this weird move, and you're like, I've never even seen that guy. I don't even know what world you're talking about. And we think that'll be pretty unique for the player because I don't think I've ever played a game like that where we can jump in and we're a couple hours into the game and it's like, oh, you're in this crazy world that looks like this, and I'm in a crazy world that looks completely different with different storylines and quests. And you could play 2 full games with not a single repeated element. And that's kind of how we gauged how much content we wanted to make for each area. That's a pretty unique experience.